My name is Scamihorn. I am a serigraph artist. A gig poster artist, screen printer, graphic artist. Serigraph is the technical term for screen printing, silk screening. It's called 100 different things, but the realm that I'm moving towards is more of trying to make it more into a fine art and keeping it away from just the term silk screen. When cake first became an opportunity, it was through MOKB and Live Nation. They said, hey, just go and deal straight with the manager. And Tommy Manzi from Cake, just super cool guy, but he wanted to see an image before he really signed off and said, hey, let's do this, let's make this investment and go for it. So I've had this backlog of illustrations and art that I've created that hasn't necessarily found a home yet, and had this old vintage stereo that I'd illustrated that was in the backlogs, and it just had that perfect vibe for them. It's kind of vintage, it's kind of unique, and really seemed to speak to them and their music, I think. The nature of what I do, if ink starts bleeding through in a spot, there's a specific step to do to fix that, to get it to be more crisp. There's that reward of being able to physically get in there and change it and make it something different. Whereas at the same time, that imperfection is what makes this process and is what makes it different than printing it off digitally. Those subtle imperfections are what proves that it is a screen print, that proves that it wasn't just output by a giant machine. The hand-printed portion of it is my way to get outside of that sitting at the desk all day, my way to have the tactile satisfaction of being able to get something outside of that computer and be able to hold it. I think there's a shift in people's appreciation of what they're consuming. It always kind of shifted with the technology that was available. As soon as digital stuff became extremely effective and extremely fast, and it looked extremely crisp, it was a huge shift in that direction, to where if you're going to output a poster, you want it to be glossy, and you want it to be shiny and crisp and be able to be photorealistic and all that stuff. Whereas it's been that way for so long that it's kind of shifting back towards people appreciating more of that tactile and just there's so much more real and handcrafted nature to it. The fact that the ink is raised up off the surface, there's inconsistencies in the print, just the natural texture of ink being pushed through mesh is going to create a texture as well as something just is not accomplishable in any other method. My wife, Amy Jo, is my quality control manager. She, after I'll pull the screen down and pull the ink across the paper, she pulls it off and throws it on the drying rack for me. And in that time that she has to look at it in between those two steps, she'll check for those tiny little things that can happen. Stops me before I ruin 10. So it's one or two that get messed up rather than a huge batch of them. If I was down here doing it by myself, not only would it take twice as long, but about half of them would probably not be the best when I went to go sign a number of them. So she's really the brains behind the business. By the time a gig poster run is finished, I've looked at the exact same image hundreds and hundreds of times because I start with the illustration on the computer, and it's a good 5 to 10 hours to 15 to 20, whatever it takes to get it down and right and approved by the band and or whoever is involved there with making that decision. So this cake run, I printed 320, so a total of 4 colors. It's over 1,200, whatever that ends up being, seeing that exact same image. So by the time that the print's completely finished and ready to ship off to wherever it's going, I'm pretty sick of looking at it. But at the same time, there's this rewarding moment of like, it's done, it's ready, and you know that the next step is to get that that great emotional connection with someone where they get to see it for the first time and they buy one, take it home with them. It's extremely satisfying when someone sees it for the first time and gets to hold it and touch it.